It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205 462 8192 or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs. Jeff Bagwell of Honey Hole Fisheries right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama is a professional biologist who specializes in lake management. If you are interested in helping build the pond or lake of your dreams, or if you need help deciding if property you own is a good location to build a pond, you can contact Jeff Bagwell at 205-799-0192. Once again, that is Jeff Bagwell and Honey Hole Fisheries at 205-799-0192. Contact him today and let him help you build the lake or pond of your dreams, or also stock your pond or lake with fish that you most desperately need. How would you like to live where you love in the state of Alabama? Whether it is your upsizing, downsizing, retiring at the beach, or relocating for your job, then you are going to want to contact Celeste Hagler, owner of First Class Real Estate South Home Group, with brokers in Tuscaloosa, Orange Beach, and Huntsville. They can help you with the buying, selling, and investment needs throughout the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste at 205-861-5698. Once again, that is 205-861-5698, and schedule a consultation to discuss your real estate goals anywhere across the state of Alabama. Good Monday morning, everybody. Today is January the 19th. Hope all is well with you. And tonight we have the final game of the 2025 college football season, as it is the national championship. And we are going to dive into that matchup with BeatWriters from both teams on this edition of the Stingray Show. But first, we are going to give you guys a pre-show and a post-show. Heath, how are things with you outside of Memphis, Tennessee? And good Monday morning.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you, brother?
I'm good. I think you are delayed.
I think you're delayed. You're super delayed on my end. I'm going to refresh.
Yeah, you go.
I'll see you back in about 4 or 5 seconds.
Because you're the one that's delayed. So, guys, hope all is well. Love the technology. You got to love it here on this Monday morning. And this week is going to be a fantastic week. And, Heath, have you got me now? Heath, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good.
I'm playing with you, Stephen.
Good.
I'm just playing with you. I'm moving my mouth. I was doing my Chinese theater there.
Yeah.
So you're a mighty warrior.
Can you hear me now? Good.
I can hear you. Who was that? What phone company used to do that?
Verizon.
Was it Verizon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that little nerdy guy with his glasses and his jacket. Yeah.
But you know what? You couldn't hear the other guy on the other end of the phone, and nobody else could hear that on the other end of the phone on Thursday of last week either.
Yeah. No, it was a good weekend, man. Took my wife to the Pam Tillis Lori Morgan concert. She absolutely loved it. We did that yesterday, and they were in Biloxi on Friday, St. Charles, Louisiana on Saturday, and the big town, Toby Town in Mississippi, Senatobia, yesterday. So it was kind of like an unplugged concert. So I didn't know anything about Pam Tillis and Lori Morgan. Only thing I knew is Lori Morgan used to date Troy Aikman because I gave up on country music in the 90s because everybody would try to sound like Garth. And that's what everyone loves Garth. I love Garth. But when everyone tried to sound like Garth, I was like, okay, I'm done with country music. So
Yeah.
I haven't listened to country music since the early 90s.
All right, Heath, let's go ahead and do the National Day of Today and the National Birthdays of Today. Today is January the 19th, and it is National Imagination Day. SpongeBob would love that.
Okay.
All
right.
Imagination.
See, whoa, I'm getting choked up. I got my water here. See, SpongeBob came out when I was in college, so I kind of missed the whole SpongeBob thing.
Right.
And don't ask me because I don't know why. My wife refused to let my kids watch SpongeBob when they were growing up. Don't know why. Don't know why. So I'm kind of on the outskirts. I know who Patrick is. I know who SpongeBob is. I know who Mr. Krab or the Krusty Krab is.
Get you a drink.
Get
you a drink, man. It is also for any of you food lovers out there watching SpongeBob or anything else. Today is National Popcorn Day.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, Stephen, I don't mind the flavored popcorn, the caramel corn and
the cheddar.
Yeah, like I don't mind. Like I'm not going to go buy it,
right?
But I'm not going to hate on it either.
Mm-hmm.
So as a young guy, I never understood the old men who would always get their popcorn, whether it's at an amusement park, the beach, whatever. Now I understand. I love some good old popcorn. That oil and that butter. Why not?
Heath, we have a lot of birthdays to get to today, and we also, unfortunately, have some people who died today. So let's go on ahead and get to the birthdays today. This is a Grammy nominated, an American Grammy winning singer. She has had over 25 singles reach number one on the Billboard country charts with more than 100 million records sold worldwide. Can you tell me who was born on January the 19th of 1946?
I would guess Dolly.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, there you go. This is why you don't play Trivial Pursuit with me.
Dolly Parton's birthday is January the 19th of 1946.
Like, I was just trying to think of an older artist that has any kind of relevance today, and I couldn't think of any as far as females. I was like, that's got to be Dolly.
She does have relevance today, dude. She's a part of...
No, you're not listening, Stephen. You're not listening. I was talking about anybody else that has any kind of relevance, any other female.
Yeah.
Dolly has plenty of relevance.
Have you ever been to Dollywood? Because I sure want to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've taken the kids a couple of times. They love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
All right. It is also the birthday of one person who had arguably the saddest life of existence. She unfortunately overdosed of a heroin overdose at age 27. She is known for her rock and roll era in 1970. Today is the birthday of one Janis Joplin.
I was going to guess that. Here's a fun fact about Janis Joplin. Went to high school in Picayune, Mississippi.
Wow.
And she had one classmate that was in her class that used to torture her and bully her and everybody in the school. Jimmy Johnson was that guy, the football coach.
Wow.
Janis Joplin and Jimmy Johnson the same age, and they said Jimmy Johnson was just a terror in high school. It was just a massive school bully. He left Picayune High School, went to Fayetteville, Arkansas, played for the Razorbacks, won a national title with the Razorbacks. His teammate, Jerry Jones.
Yes.
And anyway, they went through that.
And Heath, let me also go ahead and talk about Janis Joplin here. Now, a lot of people say because of her heroin overdose, some believe that Joplin had been given heroin that was much more potent than what was normal, as several of her dealer's other customers also overdosed that same week. Dude, that's just, I mean, you look at her career and she died at 27. That is such a sad existence.
Yeah, and you are more famous after you pass than you are alive. Janis Joplin could have been, a one album wonder. We don't know. She could have been the greatest artist of all time, man or woman. We
Right.
don't know. We'll never know. But it's just sad. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Thanks, John. I didn't know that. But
Yeah.
yeah, Janis Joplin, she put out a wonderful album,
Yes.
and it rocks. It's great. I don't know how you can't turn up the radio when Bobby McGee's on and just blare it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Janis Joplin left us way too early.
Yes. Now, you are a very big time reader. Can you tell me who was born on January the 19th of 1809? He is an American poet and a horror story writer.
The horror story should give it away, and I am not. Who wrote Frankenstein?
It was not him.
Okay, um, that I have no clue.
The Raven. He is well known for The
Edgar Allan
Raven
Poe.
in 1845.
Yeah, Edgar Allan Poe.
Yep. And Heath, did you happen to hear what happened surrounding his death? Because there is a lot of speculation about his death.
I didn't know anything about his death. Tell me about it.
His cause of death is still a mystery. He was found delirious, wandering the streets of Baltimore wearing someone else's clothes, and died 4 days later in a hospital without having recovered his senses. Some speculate he may have been a victim of cooping, the practice of kidnapping people and forcing them to wear disguises in order to vote multiple times. Now, when he was found, it was election day, and he was outside a pub that also served as a polling place. It was also the practice of the day to give the voter a drink after voting. Poe and his sister were known for low tolerance to alcohol, and even a single glass of wine leaving them stumbling. This would explain his delirium and the clothes he was wearing. Other physicians diagnosed his symptoms of rabies, and speculation about his death also included a brain tumor or even having been beat delirious by his wealthy fiance's brother.
So
Wow.
what you're telling me is he didn't go out on top. Okay.
No. But wow.
Kidnapped, drunk, opium, tumors, beaten, delirious. Yeah, I feel like I had a case of the Mondays.
Ooh,
Jeez.
man. Geez. All right. It is also the birthday of one major rocker who was born on this day in 1949. He died in 2003, and his two biggest songs were Simply Irresistible and Addicted to Love.
Robert. Yeah, you gotta love
Robert
him, man.
Palmer.
those were wonderful videos.
Yeah.
But they still rip off those videos now. Other videos ripped off those videos. Commercials have ripped off those videos. He made a lot of money off those two songs and those
Yeah.
videos, the image that he put out. But having all those women have their hair pulled back, heavy makeup, all wearing a black dress, red lipstick. I mean, the lights are on and you're not home.
Yeah.
Addicted to Love. What a great song. I have to
We
gym
have
that one today.
We have one death on January the 19th that is major. He died on this day in 2006. He was an American R&B and soul singer who had In the Midnight Hour and Mustang Sally, Wilson Pickett.
They went some good music today.
Yeah.
Wilson Pickett, Janis Joplin, Robert Palmer, Dolly.
Dolly. Yep.
We've got a lot of music references today. Um, those were also some fun things. Stephen, I remember very early in my play-by-play career. I'm maybe a year out of college,
Hmm.
and maybe 2 years. I can't remember, but uh, there was my boss who didn't know anything about sports. He was a wonderful director. He was a wonderful producer as well. Um, he used to just be bored at the games like crazy, and which is not uncommon. That's kind of normal for camera operators, directors, producers. They're not watching the game; they're watching the production. And anyway, just for him, I was like, "Do you want me to work in something?" We kind of had an inside joke that we were trying to work in phrases during the game.
Right.
And anyway, that song was playing Mustang Sally, and so he was like, "Do you think you can work this in?" And I was like, "I can work anything in." And so he goes, "All right." And so anyway, we had this long delay timeout. Something was going on with the play clock, so we had this long delay. And so I'm just filling time. I was like, "Hey, we got a new sponsor. We want to welcome Sally's Moon Pies, and for delivery, ride Sally Ride. Call Mustang Sally for your moon pies." So like I just made up an advertiser on the spot. And then I went to give the number to the station. He started freaking out about it, and I did it anyway.
Right.
But yeah, we used to have fun with that. So yeah,
That's
ride
fine.
Sally, ride Mustang Sally.
That guess you better slow your Mustang down.
Oh wow, no, that's the karaoke morning show with Stingray.
All right. Now, briefly, let's get to the national history of today. In 1925, I'm sorry, 1825, can you tell me what happened that revolutionized food and it is still ongoing today?
In 1825,
1825.
you're gonna get me on this one. I got. I hadn't had my coffee yet this morning or my Dr. Pepper. Um, yeah, you got me on this one. What is it?
The first U.S. patent for preserving food in tin cans is granted. Thomas Kensett had originally been preserving foods in glass jars, but they were subject to breakage, so he obtained a patent for storing food in tin cans and set up a small canning plant on the waterfront, selling America's first sealed fish, fruits, vegetables, and meats, and they are still going strong today. So,
Oh
10
man, it sounds like they got some Vienna sausage and some spam. Steven, do you like Vienna? Either people love it or they can't stand it. Are you a fan of Vienna sausage?
Not really. No.
I like
I've
it.
had it before, but I don't. Mm-mm.
I remember we had this was years ago. I can't remember if I was at a family member's house or a friend, but we had spam burgers. Man, this is probably over a decade ago. And we got some spam out. We grilled it up. We seasoned it. I don't know if we put barbecue sauce on. I don't remember what all we put on it, but it was good. I actually
Mhm.
went back and made a second one. But that's probably the last time I had spam, though.
All
So
right.
big in Hawaii.
When we Move to 1903. Can you tell me what happened that was a major, major ordeal in the United States?
Man, that's 123 years ago. Does it have anything to do with the car industry?
No. Radio.
Oh, in 1903 in radio, the first nationwide broadcast.
Greetings were exchanged between King Edward VII and U.S. President
Across the pond.
Theodore Roosevelt in the first regular transatlantic radio broadcast that went from Cape Cod, Massachusetts to Cornwall, England.
You know, it's funny. They back then they probably thought they had to sit on the edges of the water to communicate that across. So isn't that crazy to think about in 1903? That's what we
Yeah.
were dealing with. You like my morning here there,
Yeah.
and then today, I mean, we could Zoom with anybody on any continent in the
Yes.
world here on Restream. We could sit down with anybody and talk with anybody in any time zone on any continent at this very moment. It's just crazy to think about where technology has taken us. But someone had the thought back then of, I bet we can do that. And there
Yes.
was a lot of doubters. I was like, no, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. And look what they've done.
All right, we've got a couple more. In 1915, can you tell me what was patented and invented for the very first time, and it was an instant worldwide sensation?
1915, 111 years ago. Whitfield.
Lighting.
Oh, 1915. Um, Steven. I don't know. Tell me.
George Claude receives a U.S. patent for his invention of the neon light.
You know, I thought that. I was thinking tube lights, but I was like, I doubt tube lights were around in 1903.
No,
Wow.
1915.
That's right, 1915.
Neon light.
I still wouldn't have thought that though.
Right. All
But
right.
interesting, very interesting.
One more. We've done music, and now we're going to do a little bit of TV series. Can you tell me on January the 19th of 1953 what more than 72% of people in the United States tuned in to see?
1953. Was it anything political? So it was a show.
Yes.
All right, so we don't have to worry about speeches or State of the Union addresses. Okay. All right, so 1953. Does it say what network?
No.
If it said NBC, I would have leaned toward Rawhide. Was it a Western?
No. Comedy.
Oh. I'm going to have to go with I Love Lucy, but I have no idea.
They tuned in to watch Lucy give birth on I Love Lucy.
There you go. There you go.
All right. So, Heath, that is going to wrap up the pre show. We have our first guest on deck behind the scenes about to join us to talk about the Indiana Hoosiers. I'm going to run an ad from one of our wonderful advertisers. Then we will do the open, come back, and get to our very special guest right here on this edition of the Stingray Show. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. You know, I tell people when they come in, you know, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. You know, we've got the capability to process it, make it. You know, if you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do your brisket blend. We'll do your chuck blend. We'll do your sirloin blend. we do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. That's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. It all comes down to that right there. The National Championship Trophy and the National Championship game tonight. 10 teams tried and failed. We are down to 2 left standing, Miami and Indiana. We will be joined by a beat writer from both schools to preview this incredible matchup on this edition of the Stingray Show. Who will leave Miami the national champion? Will it be the Hoosiers or the U? Find out on this edition of the Stingray Show.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Look out, you're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, look, no.
Hey, Stingray, here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And with that, we want to welcome you back inside the real part of the Stingray Show. Heath, I am briefly sharing the show out to many of the people that we do send this to. Hope all is well with you guys out there that are just tuning in. And Heath, tonight, it all comes down to Miami and Indiana. This one is going to be a blast.
Yeah, I'm worried about blowouts. With the long holiday weekend, I got to sit down with my oldest son and spend some time with him on Friday. And it was cold. Picked him up from wrestling practice on Friday. And, son had already said it's cold outside. And he was talking to some of his buddies. I was like, what are you talking about? And he was texting. So we're talking about the game. And I was like, oh, you're talking about Miami, Indiana? He's like, yeah. And so we talked about it briefly. And he said, Dad, was Miami like a big deal back in the day? Because he just turned 15 here like a week ago. I was like, dude, Miami was a massive deal. I was like, Miami invented swag.
Yes.
That's what Miami invented. They invented swag. Like, I have never seen a team do the things on the field that they did. And Miami was the first one to do it. They invented swag. They really did. And so he's like, what do you mean? Yeah. And I was like, man, dancing around after a play or celebrating after a play, like, no one did that. Miami not only did it, they did it like way over the top.
Yes.
And so we talked about that. So we watched the U. We watched the U part 2. And I remember he was just laughing about it. And he's like, because he thought some of the dances were stupid and old-fashioned, which they are and were. Yeah. But he started laughing. He was like, oh, my gosh, they really did that? I'm like, that's what the U did, man. He just laughed. So we enjoyed that. So it was fun to do that over the weekend. But I'll tell you what, man, Indiana, some grown men over there, Stephen. Some grown men. I'm worried this game's going to be a blowout.
We are going to begin with the comeback story and the incredible story of Indiana building into a powerhouse in 2 seasons. we are about to be joined by Zach Osterman, who is a writer who covers Indiana athletics and college sports for the Indy Star. Joining us from Miami, here is Zach Osterman. Zach, how are things with you as we sit here on the morning of the Indiana National Championship game against Miami?
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, to be honest, I'm fighting off a sinus infection. So, the ghost of 7 airports in 3 weeks decided to visit me at the exact wrong time, but otherwise we're powering through.
Gotcha. Heath, you there with
We
us?
can pretend this is a teledoc appointment, and I can,
Heath, you're frozen, man. You need to refresh. So, Zach, if you would, tell us a little bit about this unprecedented run that Indiana has been on, and especially going from the doormat program of the Big Ten to now playing in the national championship game in just under 2 years.
Yeah, I mean it's the truth is for about 10 or 12 years, Indiana really tried to put a lot more money and sort of effort into football, and it saw some returns from that. It went to 4 bowl games in 7 years, which it had been, I think, to 1 in the previous 20 before that. So that at least felt maybe like a little bit more of a return on that investment. And, people will remember the COVID season and kind of the moments that Indiana had that year. But then under Tom Allen, it certainly seemed like it was sort of the trajectory was pointed north. And then when it went wrong, it just kind of went completely wrong. Indiana went 2-10 in a year that they started ranked. They won 3 Big Ten games over Allen's final 3 seasons, 9 in total. And it just kind of it got away from Indiana very, very quickly under Allen. And so when Indiana made the shift from Tom Allen to Curt Cignetti, I think there was certainly some expectation insofar as the idea that the program had shown some signs of life. The athletics department, the fan base, the donor base had maybe had put a little bit more push behind being good at football, and therefore expected to see something a little bit more consistent. Obviously, no one expected this, and certainly no one expected this quickly. And I think that almost sort of felt a little bit, sort of jarring to the most optimistic and passionate Indiana fans is the turnaround, but also just the swiftness of the turnaround and how high Indiana has climbed in such a short period of time.
Heath, you're frozen again,
Zach,
man.
I was making a joke. Oh, wow.
You're frozen again, man. So, Zach, if you would, talk about the excitement and the hype of this team going into the national championship game tonight, especially around the Indiana campus up there at Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, the reports we've been getting from down here have suggested that there are students camped out on outside bars starting, I think it was 7:00 last night, so they could get a spot in there for today. I think it's about, I was just checking, I think it's about 10 or 12 degrees in Bloomington today. So there is you kind of got to want it if you're sleeping outside. I'm not sure that's the safest thing in the world, but hopefully everybody's okay. I mean, listen, I know everyone thinks of Indiana as a basketball school. This fan base has kind of given without getting a lot from its basketball program in the last several years, though. And in particular, when you think about younger alumni, or you think about current students, football, if you've graduated from Indiana in the last 5 years, you have more core memories around football than you do around basketball. that's just the reality. And if you're an Indiana student right now, you certainly do. And so I think that is probably the segment of fan base that has embraced this sort of most unreservedly, if that makes sense, because that's those are the people, those are the folks who, if you ask them what are like their greatest memories, of IU sports from college, they're probably football memories, not basketball memories for the most part. And certainly, again, if you're a current student, it's not even close. And so I think that's reflected in the way the fan base has just, especially the younger section of the fan base, has really just kind of embraced the idea that Indiana doesn't need to worry about what its history was. Indiana can be just a genuine, I hesitate to use the word powerhouse after just 2 years, but a football-driven, football-centric school and fan base. I don't think that's something that – I think there are larger sections of this base than people realize that think that is a perfectly legitimate sort of position to hold.
Stephen, have I caught up or am I still frozen?
You're fine now, but I'm gonna have to delay talking and let you catch up. So go ahead with your question.
I'm so sorry, everybody. Zach, I was making a joke earlier that I can make this a teledoc appointment for you and prescribe you something. I am named after a hospital, but I don't know how good that'll help you. But with that, talking about tonight's game, this is grown men football, and I've been so impressed with Indiana. They have done so well with NIL, bringing in older players that have played a ton of snaps. Am I wrong to think about this is just going to be big kids beat up on little kids tonight? I know that Miami defense is very special. I know that Miami defense will give Indiana some problems, but I am so overly impressed with this Indiana offensive line. Is this going to be a low-scoring game, or is this going to be a blowout?
It's funny. I have a hard time, sort of picking a blowout in a game like this. I know they happen. They happen, more often than probably we all want to remember or admit. I think Miami's got a narrowly defined path to victory, but I do think it exists, particularly on the offensive and defensive lines. I think Miami is not very mobile along the line of scrimmage offensively, but is very big and strong. And if they can just kind of turn that into some success running the football and making things a little bit easier on Carson Beck, then I think maybe they can turn it into a game like the Ohio State game or the Texas A&M game, a bit of an extreme one with the wind and everything, but turn it into sort of a low-scoring game, a more physical game. I think Indiana, to me, the biggest, and this is hardly original analysis, but it is hard for me to see anything else that matters as much as the Indiana offensive line, Miami pass rush. If you are Indiana, you've got to slow that pass rush down, because that is the most disruptive sort of element of Miami's profile is their ability to just completely wreck your game plan with the way they can get in the backfield and rush the passer, create turnovers, create sacks, havoc plays. And I think if this game does turn into a blowout, then I think it will be because Indiana stopped that, whether it was by running the football, sort of taking the legs out from under those guys, whether it's quick passes, whether it's just blocking them straight up, which, basically nobody else has been able to do this season. If that pass rush is a real factor, then I find it hard to see Indiana blowing Miami out. If Indiana can neutralize that rush, then I think maybe Indiana can win this game. I don't know. I'm not saying they're going to win by 35, but in the way that they beat Alabama, which is just kind of grind them down and just sort of take their legs away, take the energy out of the game, and then eventually just kind of, punch past them. And if you think about that game, I mean, it was 10-0 late in the second quarter. It didn't feel like a blowout at that time. But then once you got to late in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter, you saw how tired Miami was, Alabama was. You thought back to just how Indiana kind of wore them out in the first, 30, 35 minutes of the game. I think Indiana's got to do something like that tonight.
Zach, you have covered this Indiana team all season. In your opinion, is there any weakness on this team that you are concerned that Miami might be able to exploit this evening?
Yeah, I mean the one, I don't want to say big one. I came back to this before the Peach Bowl, and I've mentioned it before this one too. When teams have gotten to Fernando Mendoza, they've made him make some mistakes.
Okay.
And that's true of most quarterbacks, right? Like most quarterbacks, if you put them under pressure, they're going to make some mistakes. He threw an interception against Iowa. He was not great in the second half against Penn State. He threw the pick six at Oregon. Now, it's hard to say that because in every one of those games, he rose to meet the moment. He throws the game-winning touchdown pass in every single one of those games. The 75-yard drive is a response to his own pick six at Oregon. Obviously, that big moment against Penn State that everyone saw. He threw the game-winning touchdown pass against Ohio State, and he also had that big third down completion to kind of bleed away more clock and eventually win that game. But you get to a point where if you're talking about a 15-0 football team, you are having to kind of stretch to try and figure out what are the weak spots. And again, we could sit here and talk about, the right side of their offensive line has not always been consistently great, and maybe that factors in with the pass rush. And we've actually seen them just in the playoff go to more six lineman sets, especially when they want to run the football. But they've thrown out of that too, and they've even brought linemen in motion and things. And that was something I think it was pretty clear they had been saving for the playoff. They didn't do it until they got to the Rose Bowl, at least in my memory. So maybe they do some more of that too, just to sort of, again, try and just lean on teams, wear teams down, wear teams out early in the game so they can kind of put them away late. But I'm talking about stuff that nobody's really been able to use to hurt Indiana, just kind of challenge them. And again, to its credit, Indiana's risen to that every single time. So history tells us maybe that's how you get Indiana in some trouble, but history also tells us Indiana's gotten out of that trouble.
Yes. So, Zach, you unfortunately are struggling with a sinus infection. We really do appreciate you joining us this morning. My final question for you: who takes home the national championship this evening? Is it the Big Ten or is it the ACC? Indiana or Miami? Who wins the Natty?
Yeah, I mean, I've stuck by my prediction all week. I think it's Indiana 27, Miami 21.
Okay.
I think Indiana wins. Now, I picked Alabama to beat Indiana. I did not pick Oregon to beat Indiana. I certainly didn't see either of those games going the way that they did.
Right.
And if you sat here and told me Indiana was going to win this by 20, I would have to just sort of nod and agree, simply because I have seen Indiana do that consistently this season and certainly this last month. Miami having, some home field advantage probably factors into that, though I do expect it will not be a heavily Miami crowd. I think there's going to be a ton of Indiana fans there. And honestly, the split might wind up being who grabbed more of those corporate seats, somewhere kind of in the neutral middle. And I don't, the other reason I picked a close game is because I do think there is a genuine path to Miami winning this game. But if you ask me on balance, who's playing better football, who's the more complete team, who's the cleaner, sharper, more fundamentally sound team, it's Indiana. And I think that, Miami's probably got more game breakers than any other team Indiana's seen in this playoff run. When you think about Ruben Bain and Mesidor and Malachi Toney and Mark Fletcher, Miami's probably got more individual talent as well. And that can always show up in a game like this. A game like this can always just turn into a game of individual talent and who can make the most plays at the key times. But, given what we've seen from this playoff run, it is hard in good conscience to pick against Indiana. So I've got Indiana 27, Miami 21.
Wow. Zach, one thing that I've been blown away with, I heard this stat on Friday, and I could not believe it. I didn't have a chance to research it to see if it was true, but I do trust the source. Indiana has one turnover on offense or one fumble, and that happened in the first game of the season, and they haven't had anything else since then. Is that correct?
They've had I'll look this up while we're talking about this. I believe they've only lost one fumble. They've thrown a few interceptions, but I believe they've only lost the one fumble. They also that game was Indiana's only lost the one fumble, and that game actually was also the game where they gave up their two longest plays of the season. They gave up a 75 and a 78-yard run to Colton Joseph, the Ole Miss QB, who transferred to I don't remember where, or Ole Miss, Old Dominion. Sorry, I don't remember where he landed. Wisconsin, maybe. That there's an argument that's the worst game they've played this season. To be honest with you, was that Old Dominion game. They looked kind of rusty, and they had obviously a lot of new faces they were breaking in. Mendoza wasn't great, but yeah, no, I mean it. Especially if you look at like kind of everything since the Penn State game has been just incredibly clean. Incredibly sharp. That Ohio State game was a slugfest, but they do not make a ton of mistakes. They really don't hurt themselves. But Miami is a team built around the idea that even if you don't make a lot of mistakes, Miami will make you make mistakes. And I think that's part of what is going to make this game fascinating.
Yes, I believe you're exactly correct on that. When you have a team that's lost one fumble all year, they don't beat themselves. Miami tries to put you in situations where you do beat yourself, and I think it's just going to be. I think it's going to be a fun first half. I do, but if this game does lead to a blowout, it's going to come down to turnovers and which team turns it over more. And I just don't see Indiana being that team. Right. If there's going to be a lot of turnovers, I think it will be Miami. We'll have to wait and see. We'll all have to watch, which we will do. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, tell us anything about this offense or any other fun fact about this Indiana team, a stat that might could blow your mind, because losing one fumble for the entire season is just – I've never heard of that. Never heard of that at all. Even if they did that in 1 month, I would be like, wow, that's impressive. They did it all season. Just tell us one thing that you can tell us anything about this Indiana team that we may not know.
Yeah, I mean, they are very clean. I mean, I haven't said this lightly. I grew up in the South. I grew up in Atlanta, so I grew up with SEC sports, SEC football, and I've been hesitant to make this comparison, but it is harder and harder to avoid. They are a lot like those early era Saban teams.
Yes,
They don't make mistakes, and they don't blow you away from the beginning. They don't just like kind of wipe you out with crazy offense, and they're just all over you. Although obviously they did that to Oregon. Oregon, in fairness, gave them some free points there, but they just grind you down. They just like they make fewer mistakes than you. They're cleaner than you. They're sharper than you. Their drives are longer. Your possessions are shorter, and you don't feel like you're getting blown out until you get to the third quarter and you realize you are just so much more tired than they are because you've made all the mistakes and they've converted all the third downs, and suddenly they're running through arm tackles, and what didn't feel like a blowout has turned into one, and you didn't really know how it happened, but it's because they just kind of ground you down to nothing and then just broke you. So that is like I said, it's a comparison I've shied away from, but it's one that is harder and harder to avoid.
What's the average age of this team? What's the average age of the players?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number. I mean, they have some older guys. They are in total. It's not enormous because they do start some sophomores, some true sophomores, some third-year players as well. But they have been able to kind of through the portal stay old in some spots. So I mean, it is an older team. I think there was something floating around that they actually were only the third or fourth oldest team in the playoff field this year. I haven't run through and crunched the whole thing, but yeah, I mean they have used the portal to stay experienced in key spots.
Zach, I know that you have another hit to get to at 9:10 Central. We will let you go. Be safe in your travels from Miami going back to Indiana. Get well soon, my friend, and we will catch up with you later on, and good luck to Indiana tonight in the national championship game, okay?
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, hey, Zach, one quick question as we walk out the door. Do you know how much Indiana spent in NIL this year? Any idea?
Yeah, I think NIL plus rev share. Obviously, this year was a moving target because a lot of guys are on the sort of pre-clearinghouse. I mean, they passed 20. I'm confident in saying it's going to be higher next year, even with the clearinghouse, because the more you win, the more you can set up kind of like legitimate NIL. They're never going to spend like Texas Tech, Ohio State money, but I mean, they're going to be, I think, top 15 nationally and like top third of the Big Ten. They're going to be competitive. They're
Gotcha.
just not going to be, I don't think they're ever going to top the list. If that, they're not going to be the Dodgers, but they're not going to have trouble, I don't think,
Yes.
as long as they're winning, investing what they need to kind of sustain it. So.
Zach, enjoy your time in Miami. Go Hoosiers. I hope that's how they say it there. And we will catch up with you later on, okay?
Sounds good. Good talking
Get
to
out
you.
on the beach, brother. Get some of that sun. Get feeling better.
Yes. I pulled down Heath for some reason. What's wrong with me?
Monday.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, it is time to turn our attention to the hometown team. Miami is playing there at home. I'm going to run another quick advertising from one of our wonderful advertisers, and then it's all about the U of Miami right after this. And Heath, hopefully this time your internet will work correctly.
Maybe.
For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. And now it is time to talk all about the U of Miami. Heath, regardless of whether they win tonight or not, I think it is very safe to say Miami and the U are back, courtesy of Mario Cristobal. What an amazing run this team has been on through the playoffs, and there were some Notre Dame fans out there who thought that they should have gotten in over Miami, and Miami shut that down really quickly, running all the way to the national championship game. Now, a fun fact about this series between Indiana and Miami. They have played 3 times. This is the third matchup. Indiana won the first one. Miami won the most recent one in 1966. But all 3 matchups, Heath, have been in Miami. All 3 matchups have been in Miami.
Talk about stats that don't mean anything. The last matchup, 1966. Wow.
Yes. All right. So, Heath, it is time to dive into this matchup with the Miami Hurricanes. And we've had on this guy 3 times already to talk about the Miami Hurricanes. Please help us welcome back to the Stingray Show from the Sun South Sentinel newspaper who covers the Miami Hurricanes, Mr. Adam Lichtenstein. Adam, how are things with you in Miami, Florida, as we sit here on the morning of the national championship game?
Doing well. I know you guys said earlier it's Monday. Sure, I'll take your word for it. To me, it's just game day. Every day for the last month, it's basically been 3 days until the next game, 2 days until the next game, 1 day till the game is tomorrow, and then it's game day. And then that's just basically been the life down here the last month or so. But it's crazy. I mean, people are super excited. You got billboards up all over the highways, like all over Miami. Like, people are super hyped for this game. It should be really, really exciting.
Now, Adam, I do know that over the past few years, it has been very difficult to get the Miami fan base on board with low attendance records. Talk about what you expect tonight from the Miami fans who, over the past decade or so, have not shown up.
Yeah, like, look, I mean, first of all, Miami is an event and a front running town, so to speak. And that's because it's one of the biggest cities in the country. There's a
Right.
lot of things to do down here. And if you're not playing well, or if you're playing a team like, Florida A&M, you're not going to draw a lot of people's attention. There are a lot of things to do on a Friday night or a Saturday night, in Miami. So if the team isn't good and isn't fun, people aren't going to, except for obviously the diehards, they're not going to make their way to the stadium, especially because the stadium, I mean, a lot of people don't know this if you don't live in South Florida. The stadium's not like in Miami. It's basically in Broward County. It's a good, depending on traffic, 20-30 minutes, from downtown Miami. It's a good hour sometimes from Coral Gables if the traffic's not great, so it's not like in the middle of things. So people aren't going to make the trek out there unless they feel like they're getting their money's worth and they're going to get entertained. So all that being said, I think tonight, I think people are fully on board, whether you want to call them bandwagoners or just like casual fans, they're fully on board. And if you're going to this game, that means you probably dropped $3,000 on each ticket, and that means you care. Like, tickets are crazy. I know the face value for some of them, I think the cheapest face value tickets were like $500, but they're going like for thousands of dollars on like, StubHub and SeatGeek and all those sites. So the people who are there really care, and it's gonna be I think a really, really fun environment.
I've been to that stadium before, and if I'm not mistaken, Miami Gardens, correct? It's in Miami Gardens.
Basically
That's
Miramar, yeah.
Yeah, it's the name of the city, next to the horse track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you got an F1 track around it too, and tennis courts and everything. They made it into a whole multi-sport complex.
Yeah, and for the older crowd out there, it's the old Joe Robbie Stadium. I don't care what they call it; it's Joe Robbie Stadium. It will always be Joe Robbie Stadium to me.
You can tell exactly how old somebody is by what they call the stadium, because like if you were like, and I don't mean that as a slight, just like because like it was Joe Robbie for a while, then I call it sometimes Pro Player Stadium. That's what it was in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was Land Shark Stadium and Dolphin Stadium and 85 different names. All the stadiums down here have had 85 different names. So you can tell exactly how old somebody is and how old they were as like a teenager or when they were a teenager by what they call that stadium.
Yeah, that was like the flex when you were younger, because we didn't have the internet in the 90s, early 90s and 80s. And so if you could name the stadium that they played in, you were a fan. You knew what you were talking about. So, but it's got that wonderful statue of Danny Marino. Older people call him Danny, young people call him Danny Marino, and his numbers is all colored. The rest of the statue, but the numbers on it, I was always impressed with that. But getting to the game at Joe Robbie Stadium, someone asked me, do you think home field advantage will take it? I was like, I don't know necessarily it'll take over. And I said, but you definitely will love to play in a familiar place. Like, you're not going into a locker room that you're unfamiliar with. You know what this field is. You know where some loose spots on the side are. Yeah, I mean, things about the stadium and things. Like, how the wind's going to swirl in the stadium. Like, these things going in. All those things help. All those things win you a national title? No, you have to go out there and perform. I think that Indiana is going to have to beat themselves tonight, but Miami has been known to make people beat themselves all year. I do think Miami's the underdog in this game, but I think someone forgot to tell Miami that they are the underdog. This is going to be a game that I'm looking forward to. I don't think it'll be a blowout. If it is, I think it'll be Indiana, but what's something that we're missing? Adam, what is one thing that we're missing that this game is going to be favored toward Miami of making this just a blockbuster game and a national championship that we'll remember forever?
Yeah, to address a couple of the things he said. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned the locker room. I'm pretty sure Miami's not using their regular locker room.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure since they're the visiting team, since they're the higher seed, they have to use the visitors' locker room. So they're actually in an unfamiliar locker room. But the rest of everything you said, like, knowing your home field, like that's big. I don't know what the exact fan split will be. I'm expecting kind of 50-50, maybe 60-40 Miami because it's in Miami. But yeah, I don't think there'll be a massive home field advantage, but any 1% advantage you can get is important. As far as something I think people might be missing, I don't know if people are missing it per se, because obviously everyone knows at this point who Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor are. But I think what's going to be crucial, and something I was kind of focused in on during this past week, is just how devastating those guys have been in the playoffs and why. So if you look at Miami, the three quarterbacks Miami's faced so far in the playoffs, you have Julian Sayin, you have Marcel Reed, you have Trinidad Chambliss. Marcel Reed and Julian Sayin hold on to the ball for a long time. That's because they have playmakers, they have guys that can throw through downfield. They hold on to the ball for about 3 seconds, give or take, a few tenths of a second or whatever, but about 3 seconds, which is kind of long. Trinidad Chambliss gets rid of the ball in like 2.3 seconds, really fast. So Miami was able to sack Reed and Sayin a combined 12 times. Miami only sacked Trinidad Chambliss 1 time because he got rid of the ball so fast. They were able to neutralize that pass rush. So where does Fernando Mendoza lie in all that? He's kind of right in between. He's faster than Sayin and Reed. He's slower than Chambliss. So the question is, do those extra 2/10, 3/10 of a second that he takes to throw, while he's waiting for Omar Cooper or, Elijah Surratt to get open, are Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor or Justin Scott or Ahmad Moten or Keontae Scott able to get to him in that time? Because if they do, and they can cause pressure, get in his face, put him on the ground, that's going to be the biggest thing in this game, I think. If Mendoza's getting the ball out fast and hitting his receivers in space, that's game over. If Miami's getting to him, they're right in the game, and that's right where they want Indiana to be. So that's, I think, the thing I'm going to be looking for the most.
Wow. And that offensive line of Indiana, I've been so impressed with the D-line of Miami, but they're going to face a task that I don't think they've seen. What would you guess is the best O-line Miami has faced so far this year, and do you think Indiana's O-line is better?
The best O-line Miami's faced all year. That's a good question. Probably A&M's. I think A&M,
Okay.
A&M, Notre Dame, Ohio State, like they all had really good offensive lines. And Miami did a pretty good job against them. They kind of, the one that they kind of Indiana kind of reminds me of. I don't know if Indiana's the best offensive line they will face, but they're up there. They're certainly in the upper echelon. They remind me of A&M in a way because both teams have superstar, probably first round pick left tackles. A&M had Trey Zune, and Indiana has Carter Smith. Both are phenomenal tackles. I think both of them entered their games against Miami with having given up like 1 sack all year. But, and I said this a couple times, Miami doesn't have 1-star edge rusher. They have 2. And they can attack. They can overload one side with both of them, which I've done a couple times. They can obviously put them on opposite sides. And the problem is, you can put your star left tackle on one of those star edge rushers, whether it's Bain or Mesidor, but your other side has to deal with the other guy. And Indiana's other side has not been great. Khalil Benson is, I think, a potential weak spot. He's the right tackle for Indiana. I think he's a potential weak spot that Miami could try picking on in this game because he has, like, I think his PFF pass blocking grade is like in the 50s. It's not been great. And you have him going up against Akeem Mesidor, against a Ruben Bain, like that spells trouble. I'm sure, Indiana, they've played 15 games. They know their strengths. They know their weaknesses. I'm sure they're game planning for this stuff. But that's something I'm really going to be watching closely is you can stop one of them. A lot of teams can stop one of them, but can you stop both of those pass rushers at the same time?
Adam, let's flip it. Miami's offense and Carson Beck going up against Indiana's defense. Talk about that matchup for us, please.
Yeah, obviously it's going to be crucial. I mean, the first thing and the biggest thing all playoffs, all season, has been that Carson Beck has to protect the football.
Yes.
And lately, he's been phenomenal at that. Like, everyone knows, like, Carson Beck is such a polarizing player. I kind of wonder why sometimes. Like, I don't know why he's such a lightning rod, but he obviously had turnover trouble last year at Georgia. He's been up and down with turnovers this year at Miami. He obviously had that Louisville game in the middle of the season where he threw 4 interceptions. But since Miami's second loss of the year against SMU, where he threw 2 interceptions, one of which was 100% not on him because it literally bounced off a receiver's hands. Since then, He's thrown 15 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. He's completing almost 75% of his passes. He's been excellent at protecting the football. So what it comes down to basically is what does Miami need from him tonight, and what can he give them? Kind of. If Miami's able to, like they have throughout the playoffs, just impose their will at the line of scrimmage, run for 5 yards a carry, push the pile, Miami does not need Carson Beck to be Superman. They do not need him to throw 40 times for 350 yards and 5 touchdowns. They don't need that. If Indiana's able, and Indiana's a great run-stopping team, if Indiana can keep Miami to 3 yards a carry and not push the pile, and they need Carson Beck to do a lot, then he's going to have to throw the ball a lot more and have to throw it more into coverage, and that's where the potential to run into trouble is. I'm not saying it's a guarantee because Carson Beck's been very good at protecting the football, but that's where things might get a little bit dicey. If he has to throw the ball downfield a lot, if he has to throw the ball into coverage a lot, that's where an issue could crop up.
Your dogs are excited, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They have lots of opinions.
Yes.
What's your dog's name, Adam?
I have 2 dogs, and I'm actually watching a friend's dog, a third dog right now. So he got my friend's dog's name is Lee. He's an old man. He's a little terrier mix. Then we've got Melody, who's 10 years old. She's blind. She's a terrier Chihuahua mix. And then we got Lucy, who's 2 years old, and she's what's called a pot cake dog, basically a mutt from the Caribbean.
Gotcha.
I got a feeling Lucy's the pot stirrer.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Absolutely.
So, Adam, when you look at this game tonight, Miami takes home the national championship if what happens?
If they put Mendoza on the ground.
Okay.
If they can get to him consistently, I think they can calm down Indiana's offense, which has been phenomenal. Like, all credit to Indiana. They're an excellent team with few, if any, weaknesses. But if they can put Mendoza on the ground, take him from Heisman winning quarterback to average quarterback, which is what he is when he's under pressure, which, again, that's not a slight on him. Every quarterback gets worse under pressure. If they turn him into average Fernando Mendoza, they can win this game.
You know, Adam, last night I was watching the NFL playoff game. I was watching the Bears and the Rams, and I was watching Mevis, the kicker, the thicker kicker for the Rams. You know, we know him very well here in the SEC. He played at Missouri, was a wonderful kicker. If this game comes down to kicking, Mevis could not kick a field goal between 15 and 25 yards, but from 25 yards to 60, he was automatic. If this game comes down to a field goal for Miami, is there any hiccups with the kicker? Is there anything that we're missing? How far can he kick it from? Where is he iffy? Is he iffy anywhere?
I wouldn't say he's really iffy. He obviously had a really bad game against A&M where he missed 3 field goals. I don't really hold that against him too much because if you were watching that game, if you were at that game, the wind was absolutely insane. Like, we're talking like 30-mile-an-hour winds that are gusting in all different directions. It was wild. And I think, like, if you watch that game, his first kick literally sailing right through the uprights, and it's like a wiffle ball gets caught in the wind and blown to the side. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. Then I think the second kick, he was trying to adjust for that wind, and he just boomed it, and the wind wasn't there, and it just sailed well wide. And then he missed one kick that was like, I think, just doinked off the uprights. Like, that happened. So I'm not like Carter Davis. He's not prime Adam Vinatieri or anything, but he's been fine all season. Like, if it comes down to a field goal, obviously depending on the length, you know, I think Miami trusts him, and he definitely gives them a shot from 50 yards.
Adam, our previous guest, had Indiana 27, Miami 21. How are you going? Miami, Indiana tonight. Who wins the Natty for the home team at the home stadium for Miami? And unfortunately, the last time Miami played a national championship game at home for them, it was not a friendly one. Would the refs have something to say about it? Your thoughts. Who wins tonight?
Well, hopefully no referee controversies this time around. I will agree with Zach and say Miami will score 21 points, but I have Miami 21, Indiana 20. Now ask me how confident I am in that.
How confident?
Not at all. Not at all. I think Miami can win. I think, like we've talked about, and I know you guys are talking about, like, Indiana doesn't make mistakes. They don't beat themselves. They don't commit penalties. They don't, do this. They don't do that. Miami has to make them do that. And that's kind of what it comes down to. Like, if Indiana plays their best game, they're going to win. If Miami plays their best game, they're probably going to win. It's obviously about making the other team play their worst game. If you can make Indiana play their worst game, you can beat them. If you can't, you're not. So I do think Miami, has more than a puncher's chance in this game. I know they're big underdogs, and that's fine. Miami's 3-0 when they're underdogs this year. So I'm not confident at all that Miami's going to win, but I definitely think they can. I think the way I was thinking about it when I was making my pick for my newspaper, I'm like, what are the most likely outcomes? And I think the most likely outcome is a close Miami win. And right behind it, 1% less likely, 2% less likely is a close Indiana win. And then down, far down, Indiana blowout. And then below that, a Miami blowout. So I'm not confident at all in that pick. I would not be surprised if I'm wrong, but that's what I think is the, by a hair, most likely outcome.
Adam, look, man, we have thoroughly enjoyed you joining us all this season to talk about Miami there in the playoffs. I will leave you with this. Good luck to Miami tonight at home. Hopefully, they can end the drought of the national championship for the first time since 2001. But they're going to have to go through a buzzsaw of Indiana to do so.
I will say before I go, one thing, isn't it nice to not be looking at an Alabama-Ohio State national title game? It's Indiana who's never won, and Miami who hasn't won in 25 years.
Yes.
Like, I think we're all sick and tired of seeing Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia, the same 5 teams, playing for the national title. Like, people bemoan the state of college football and what's going on, and there are definitely things to complain about. I have my gripes, I have my issues, but it's good that teams that haven't been competitive, in Indiana's case basically ever, are playing for a national title. It's something different. I think parity is so good. I think it's great for the sport. I think it's gonna be a great game.
Adam, thank you as always. Go and enjoy the national championship for all of us, and we would love to catch up with you later on to hopefully talk about Miami basketball and then, of course, Miami baseball as we move down to college baseball.
Yep. Well, I don't even know anything that's happening outside of football right now.
Okay. Man, go and enjoy it and have a blast for us, okay?
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Adam.
Heath, that is going to wrap up our interviews of both from Miami and from Indiana. All right, Heath, this is going to be the post show right here. Heath, your thoughts on Indiana and Miami. Give us your thoughts. Who wins?
Well, I decided to ask AI who was going to win the game just for the fun of it. And the answer I just put in, who's going to win tonight, Miami or Indiana? And it says that the Indiana Hoosiers are widely favored to defeat the number 10 Miami Hurricanes in the college football playoff national championship. So there you go. It goes on, talks about the win, the spread, the win probability, expert picks, blah, blah, blah. But ESPN has it for a 68.3 chance for Indiana to win.
Right.
So I'll say this, Stephen. Who do I think is the better team? Indiana. Who do I think is the more dominant team? Indiana. Who do I think is the safer bet? Indiana. I remember a game many years ago, and I don't like comparing different sports, although this is football, it's the National Football League. But I remember when the Rams were going to play their second Super Bowl, and they had just won the Super Bowl the year before. They dominated. Kurt Warner was great, and they had dominated the NFL that year. This little wild card team that lost their starting quarterback, Drew Bledsoe, was in the playoff, and they had this young rookie named Tom Brady coming into that game. And we all know what happened.
Yeah.
We all know what happened. And I kind of got that same vibe. Everyone's just going with Indiana. Everyone's liking Indiana. And no one's going with Miami.
Right.
And I just kind of got that vibe. Back then, the Rams, just like the Hoosiers, they were favored. They were heavily favored. They dominated all year. but no one talked about Miami or then the Patriots. And Patriots won their Super Bowl. It was their first Super Bowl they ever won, and then we all know what happened after that. So, is it going to turn out that way? I highly doubt it. I have no idea. If I did, I'd go bet my house and buy a beach house, but that's not the case. I don't know who's going to win this game, but I can't wait for this game. I look forward to this game. But, Steven, you know what's wrong about this game, and it's 100% wrong about this game? It's on a Monday.
Yeah.
Kids got to go to bed. And there's some kids out there, especially kids in Indiana, in the state of Indiana, that want to stay up and watch this game, and their parents will let them. There's kids all over the state of Florida that want to watch this Miami game. They got to go to bed. They got to go to school tomorrow, and that's not fair.
Right.
I do not understand why this game is not played on a Friday, Saturday, or even Sunday on a holiday weekend. The NFL playoffs. I get that. But we could have squeezed this game easily this weekend.
Yes.
Easily. We could have put it on Friday night. We could have put it on Saturday. We could have put it on yesterday afternoon. I mean, we could have done anything to make this game happen. I don't understand why we keep doing this. The Super Bowl should not be played on a Sunday. It should be played on a Saturday so kids can stay up late. I don't know. But that's my beef. Your thoughts on this game?
Heath, I'm going to throw two stats at you to end the Stingray show. All of the other national championships in college football are over with except this one. See if you get a pattern here. The National Junior or NJCAA, which is
that's junior college.
Division III, Illinois, the College of DuPage won it. All right, the NAIA, Iowa, Grandview won it. Division III, Wisconsin River Falls. D2, Ferris State won it again out of Michigan. And Division I, FCS, Montana State. Miami is the only chance we have left of the northern teams north of the Mason-Dixon line sweeping all of the national championships in football this year. That's insane.
That is insane. I don't really care about the Mason-Dixon line. That's heck. If there was a line being drawn now, I think it'd be East and West. But that's another story for another day on another podcast that I won't be on. But looking at this, Stephen, has Miami won some national titles? Yes, but the last one was what, 2001?
2001.
Well, it's been 25 years. I don't think there's anybody on the Miami roster that was born the last time Miami won a national championship.
No.
Indiana, the team that has more losses and that was the worst Power 4 team. It still is the worst Power 4 team in the history of college football.
Yeah. But don't tell Indiana fans that today or tonight.
Yeah. So I'll say this. If Miami loses this game, they're like, hey, we're close. We're close to getting this thing back on track.
Yeah.
If Indiana loses this game, their fans will be like, man, this was our year. This was our one and only chance to make this happen.
Yes.
And just for that, will I be upset if Miami wins? No, I will smile. I'll smile no matter who wins this because it'd be fun for everyone in South Florida that remember the old, Miami teams. But Indiana, man, how can you not pull for these guys?
Yes.
How can you not pull for Indiana? I mean, it'd be like Vanderbilt making it to the national championship game. How could you not pull for that?
The final thing I will say, and I'm going to speak I never speak for everybody, but I do think I'm going to speak for everybody that will watch tonight. Can we please get a fun game? Please do not let it be Indiana a 28-point win. We deserve a good football game for the national championship. And Heath, to that point, Can you tell me the last national championship game that was decided by one possession or less?
First thing that pops in my mind is Clemson, Alabama. That's the first thing. I haven't thought about it. That's the first thing that pops in my mind. And I'm briefly.
Tua to Devontae pre-COVID. We are going on 8 years now of a national championship that has not been decided by one possession. That is almost 3,000 days. Please give us a fun game tonight. That's all I ask.
I don't know if you're going to get that. You can ask, but I don't know if you're going to get it.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like that 7-foot long G.I. Joe aircraft carrier that ran on actual gasoline that could float in your swimming pool. I asked for it for every Christmas, never got it once.
Right.
A couple of things that I'll throw at you, Stephen. We had some excellent football over the weekend. It was NFL football. That Denver Buffalo game was outstanding, and my neighbor is a massive Bears fan. Our boys play together every single day. They're best friends. And I've been kind of pulling for the Bears just for them. And I was heartbroken for Bears fans. That was an excellent football game. We had a weekend of great – we had some blowouts too, some ugly games. And I didn't watch those at all. But we've had some good football games. We've had some stinkers in the national championship. But I'll say this, Stephen. In the old BCS, who finished number 2 this year? Was it A&M? Who finished number 2? Who's number 2 in the playoff?
We don't know yet. Indiana or Alabama?
No. I'm talking about this year. Who was number 2? Do you remember? I don't even remember who finished second.
It would have been. Did
they put Ohio State too?
Probably Georgia.
Was it Georgia?
Probably Georgia because they won the SEC.
Okay. So just like the old BCS days, we'd had Indiana, Georgia, which would have probably been a fun game.
Yeah.
Would have probably been a fun game. But, you look at this, the game's evolving. It's getting better. Are we getting some blowouts here and there? Yes, we are. But I love that the playoff is kind of leading up. Whoa, cough, sorry. I love that the playoff's leading up. But have we had blowouts in the Super Bowl? Most of the time the Super Bowl is a blowout. National championship the last few years, been blowouts. So I hope for a good game. I think we will get a good game. But if it is a blowout, I just think it's going to be Indiana blowing out Miami.
Heath, the final thing I will say, and this is stupid, this is idiotic, this is moronic, whichever words you want to say. Can you tell me, and now you talked about one of the games yesterday, the Bills taking on the Bears, correct?
Yeah. Well, yesterday it was the Bears and the Rams, but
Okay.
It was the Bills and the Broncos. That was the other game.
Do you know what happened this morning in Buffalo?
Yeah, they fired their coach. I was noticing that while we were doing the show.
Sean McDermott was fired by Buffalo because their team turned the ball over 5 times yesterday. I don't see how getting that deep into the playoffs gets you fired. I don't understand that.
I don't either, man. I really don't understand pro football. Like Mike Tomlin, I think, is one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Yeah.
And for the Steelers to let him go, just shocked me. The Steelers have had 3 head coaches in like the last 40 years.
Yeah.
It's just kind of unheard of. You had Chuck Noll. You had Bill Cowher.
Yeah.
And then you had
Tomlin.
Tomlin, excuse me. And you had 3 coaches since like the 80s. 50 years.
Yeah.
50 years, and you've had 3 coaches. That's crazy to think about. And I think they made a mistake. These NFL teams, man, I just don't know what's kind of going on. For the Ravens to get rid of Harbaugh,
Yes.
he stayed unemployed for like 8 minutes. He's already been signed with the Giants. It's just crazy how the NFL thinks and looks. And look, they've got their reasons, they got their stuff, but yikes. But we've seen it in college football. I mean, look at Penn State. Did they upgrade or downgrade with their coach? I think they downgraded. Now, watch Penn State be in the playoffs next year and win it all. I mean, I'll be shocked. But getting back to tonight's game, Stephen, I'll throw this at you. And I'm not wishing this on anybody, but what if Indiana comes out, starting quarterback gets hurt first drive of the game, and the backup quarterback gets knocked out, sometime in the first half. And they're playing a third-string quarterback. That would be a nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
Could there be a blowout then? Yeah, Miami could easily blow this thing out. There's so many things that could happen in this game. A lot of things that won't happen. But that's why we watch. We'll watch it. I can't wait for it. And you just got to kind of have to smile with Indiana. And heaven forbid if Miami wins. If Miami wins, Stephen, I'll say this. Mario Cristobal is going to take over college football. If Miami wins tonight, oh my goodness. There's a lot of money in Miami. There's a lot of boosters in Miami. They are crazy about football in Miami. And if Mario Cristobal pulls this off, I would not be shocked if Miami wins 3 of the next 5 national championships, if not more.
Heath, I will also say this. If you are an SEC fan and you're boycotting this game because there's no SEC team or because, the South is not represented, you're foolish. You're foolish. You're
I
foolish.
don't always agree with you, but I agree with you on that one, Stephen. I agree.
Oh, my gosh. Just because there's no SEC team in there, I'm not watching it. Piss on you.
I'm sometimes like that, but it depends on the sport. It also depends on the game. I mean, I'll say this, Stephen. I didn't watch, what was it, TCU in Georgia a couple of years ago?
Right.
I knew exactly how it was going to turn out.
Yeah.
And it turned out exactly the way I thought it would. I did have it on. I did watch the very beginning. But as soon as it started happening, I'm like, I'm done with this. And I started doing other stuff. I was like, I'll watch the highlights later. I'm not watching this game.
All right. So, Heath, that is going to wrap up the Monday edition of the Stingray Show. Hope that you guys have thoroughly enjoyed it with a preview of Miami and Indiana. Tomorrow is a big show for us. You want to know why?
Because it's Tuesday? I have no idea why. Oh, boy. The birthday boy.
So tomorrow, we are going to be talking the hardwood of college basketball. Chris Lee will join us to do a recap of the Saturday action and get you guys ready for the Tuesday night action and the Wednesday night action that is on. The Tuesday edition of the Stingray Show, we're taking that day to talk about the hardwood of college basketball with Chris Lee of Southeastern 16. Go and enjoy watching the national championship game this evening. Miami and Indiana. It will kick off at 6:30 p.m. with multiple ways to watch all around the ESPN family of networks. Heath, which one will you be watching?
I'll watch the main broadcast. I won't be doing anything fancy. And again, if this game turns into a blowout, brother, I got so much work I got to do and get on. I'll easily turn this thing. I'll keep it on, but I'll be doing other work. I won't be paying attention.
Heath, there is a real interesting ordeal or interesting broadcast tonight. They are doing the ESPN film room with a bunch of former and current coaches. And one of the coaches in that room will be Mike Gundy. That could be rather interesting to watch that.
You know what? I might turn that over there. If the game starts getting lopsided at first, I might turn that over there to see if it keeps my interest.
So it's on ESPN2, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I might. Thank you for telling me that. I didn't even know that.
So you're going to have the Skycast and the Command Center and the Pat McAfee Show. And then, since Miami is in it, Tom Luganville will be on the sidelines for the ACC huddle with the ACC broadcasters on the ACC network doing commentary on the game.
I wish we had a Manning cast for tonight's game. I would easily watch that.
Yes.
You know, for fans like this would be a perfect for SEC fans or fans who love college football but don't really care about either one of these teams. The Manning cast would be a grand slam tonight. You probably need to record this clip and send it to the ESPN powers that be, because a Manning cast of this national championship game would bring in a lot of people. I don't care about NFL football, but I put on the Manning cast just to hear some of their intakes, and then they bring on, they'll have on, Pamela Anderson. In the next segment, it's a former president. In the next segment, it's a coach. And the next segment is, Eli, making fun of Peyton. And, I mean, that's very entertaining, and I wish we would do it. And then randomly they bring in Snoop Dogg at the end. Why can't we have that for tonight? I would watch that all night.
Get away with the Pat McAfee show, dude. Get away with that, can that, and do the Mannings.
I haven't met anyone that likes the Pat McAfee show. Like, I'm not hating. I'm really not. But I don't know anyone that's like, I can't wait to watch Pat McAfee. Hey, did you see what happened on Pat McAfee? Like, people will still call me up like, hey, did you hear what happened on Feinbaum this week? Like, nope, I hadn't listened to Feinbaum in decades. So I'm kind of, I don't know anyone that watches or is a big fan of the Pat McAfee show. So, yeah.
Who's that comment down the track? We don't care. We want you to shut up.
Whoa, Stephen bringing up the club mix. Okay. Wow.
All right.
Wow, Stephen filled with the hate. It's Monday, man. It's too early. It's a holiday today. It's your birthday tomorrow. No hate, Stephen. No hate. Hey, I heard you're turning 21 tomorrow.
Yes, that is correct. That's the word on the street. All right, that is going to wrap up the National Championship preview. And guys, we will see you tomorrow when we will turn our attention to the basketball of the SEC and turn our attention to the hardwood as we move towards the SEC tournament in college basketball. Enjoy the National Championship game tonight. For those who watch, I will be watching and I will be pulling for a close game to end this college football season on.
Hey, Stephen, in 25 more days, we have college baseball.
Yay!
25 more days. I'm just waiting for warm weather. I'll take that right now. I love college baseball. I wish we had it all year round, but I hate the cold, Stephen. Can you fix that?
I'll see what I can do, man. I'll see what I can do.
Make a call, Mr. Meteorologist. I need some warm weather.
Okay. All right. Heath, sayonara. We will see you tomorrow.
Dude, you're stealing my lines. That's my line.
Well, say it.
Sayonara. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi. For all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205-462-8192, or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do you a brisket blend. We'll do you a chuck blend. We'll do you a sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. It's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show.